Hello, making a paint crack filling video and kind of tired right now, but I talked to Mirka. She emailed me back and I was glad and didn't hear from her today. I hope she's doing okay. I'm going to check my Facebook messages later. I'm gonna make this video first. I hope this shows. It's alright. I still have to make my table camera stand, which will work better. Then I can lean it forward, so like this here. This would never work because it would fall. It doesn't stand like this by itself. But I can slightly lean it against this. Yeah, slightly lean it against this paint can, and then it will show sort of half of it. But that's okay too. So I have all my little figurines here that are almost finished. Many of them are finished already. And this here is very amazing. This here. It has already dried up paint. It comes, you can just pull it out of any plastic jar like this and leave the plastic jar completely clean like this. It will all come out. But I'm gonna have to put these, I have to put this back in. I'm gonna put this back in. It will dissolve in time back into water. So I'm gonna let this soak in there and dissolve back into the paint. And in the meantime, I'm gonna use this kind of clumpy material to fill in these cracks here, which is nice to do. I hadn't used this one here in a while, so that's why it is caked on. It's nice to be able to use this to fill the cracks. I wish the Scoopy would not crack like this, valley like this. Desert cracks, but that's what it does. And I noticed I noticed that the Play-Doh, particularly the white one is very, it has a surface like there's calcium in it, and I'm sure there is calcium in it. That's what creates this kind of rough type of surface. And the real Play-Doh material has clay, real clay, and real calcium in it as well. This one here, this particular color, and it also has a very matte finish. Not as rough as the white, but also matte. And the yellow is rough like the white, so the yellow has a lot of calcium in it as well. So they use clays, and they use all kinds of clays and minerals for all of these industrial type of products, and also for wall paint. So the white and wall paint, for example, I believe is coming from minerals and clays and calcium. Listening to Jiddu Krishnamurti and David Bohm. Papa Dog is resting on the couch downstairs. Yeah, there's a lot of suffering in the world. A lot of people are suffering. I see it. And we have the need to create a therapy center with a therapy that works. And we need that for all people, regardless of financial means. It should be based on donations. That's what my dream is, to have that. And I know this is where we have to go to. This is the next step. This is going to be the next step for the future. To create a therapy center where we can help all people. It's been my dream for the last 30 years. And it is very, very important that if we want to make the world better, that that all of us everyone goes within oneself and does not humiliate someone else anymore. No more humiliating of other people. No more name calling. I know anger. I know how it feels. It is what it is. But it is the best thing is not to act it out. Not to act it out on anyone else. Not to. You can scream into the pillow in your room. Make sure that your animals are safe outside of that room, and that someone is there for them, taking care of them, and that they are far enough away so they don't hear the screams. You take a pillow, you scream into the pillow. Very, very important. When it's a very urgent, immediate anger. So that's our responsibility to do that for all beings, because I remember our former dogs, Ludwig and Samantha, and when I was doing primal therapy, and we didn't have a primal room, and I fought with Paul, and I had my anger outbursts, and I was yelling at him and he was yelling at me, and I remember that was hard on the dogs, and I felt terrible about that they heard me scream and holler. And it is horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's horrible when the animals hear you scream, so, or fight, among each other. It's or the children, animals are children. Animals and children, they get very scared and confused when adult people are fighting. So that's why it is very, very important to either get yourself a primal room, like a soundproof room, or you go into your bedroom, you scream into the pillow. It's very important not to scream at your partner, even if you're in a heated argumentation. To remember, it's not easy when you're right in the middle of the heated argumentation. It's very difficult. But if we become more aware, the more aware we become, the more we can say, wait, I have to go into and scream into my pillow. And so that the animals and the children don't have to be listening to that heated argumentation and the yelling and all of this. Very important. And I understand when someone is angry at meat eaters and all of this, but yeah, it doesn't help. It doesn't help to make videos calling these people names, calling them trash and all of this. It doesn't help to make the world a better place. Not at all. It just draws the people more into their own behavior. It draws them more into that what they have learned from their parents. When the dad said, "Don't be a sissy, man up, become a real man," or when they say, "You eat like a man," I understand the frustration over this. I understand how ridiculous and retarded that is. But, it doesn't, you see how they already are. They're already feeling shame because they have been shamed by their fathers. Now they're being shamed from a different society back into their own situation, and so they're being shamed around like a tug-of-war rope. So it doesn't help them psychologically. It doesn't make them learn anything, because when someone is feeling shame and fear of shame, and feeling humiliated, and then the brain doesn't function at all. Then the brain goes into complete defense mode. Then they will just lash out. They don't know how else to cope with that in that moment. That makes people crazy. Don't humiliate anyone. All of you out there, don't, whoever you are, whether you're from this camp or that camp or this camp or that party or that group or that religion, don't shame anyone. Remember this. Don't shame anyone. Don't throw insults. That is my plea to the world. That's all I can say here in these videos. That is the only leverage I have, is to make YouTube videos, and I get about 10 views on these videos, these paint videos here. And so I don't reach very many people, but that's all I can do, is to say this and to repeat this. And I'm not, I'm not a guru, and I'm not coming from a religious point of view. I'm against religion. I'm saying this plain and simply from a rational, psychological, biological point of view. This is pure psychology and biology that I'm bringing up here. People will not learn anything if they are in fear, or if they feel humiliated, or if they're afraid to be humiliated, or afraid to embarrass themselves. That's a huge thing, particularly among men. Among men, it's much bigger than in women, even. Much, much bigger. This fear of looking like a loser. Fear of society, fear of what other people think of them. And as I mentioned before, the different societies have their different key words. The G word, the N word, or the R word. The R word for racist. That's what the liberal intellectual not really intellectual wanting to be intellectual. The pseudo intellectual, let's call it that. Yeah. Pseudo intellectuals. They are afraid to be called racist. That's a terrible, terrible threat to them. Or Islamophobic. Guy said to me, "You're Islamphobic," he said. Yeah. So, guy from the Middle East, from Pakistan. And I said, "You bet." I said, "You bet." And then I blocked him, because he's been nothing but a pain in the neck. Trying to shame me, trying to objectify me, trying to give me a real hard time. And I don't put up with it. I don't put up with verbal or any kind of violence, psychological violence. I don't put up with it. So many people are afraid of society calling them certain names. We need to distance ourselves from that. We need to say, okay, then let them call me that name. It's not a big deal, okay? It's not a biggie. Call me that name. Call me any name you want. I'm gonna stand up for peace. I'm gonna stand up for making peace on this planet. Stand up against violence. No matter what people call me, that's secondary. What other people call us or think of us is totally secondary. The most important thing, the absolute priority, is to make the world better and safer for all living beings. And every person can contribute with this. Everyone can do this. Everyone can make that conscious decision and say, I'm not gonna call people names anymore. And it doesn't matter how society reacts to that. I'm not gonna chip into the same destruction cycle anymore. And then things are gonna heal. Then things will heal. But you, every one of you, is responsible for that process. Every single person. You have to make the conscious decision to contribute peace for the world. And the dissolution of self, ego, self-images, identifications, and violence. All of that has to go. And if we do this, then religion will naturally go by itself, because religion is a product of neurosis and ego. It's about making the world a better place. It's not about a person, an individual. This is for all of us. It's about all of us, equally much, all beings. If you don't go to the military, you contribute to peace in the world. That's a fact. This is a logical fact. Don't jump on any bandwagon. That is my message for the world. Don't take sides. Free yourself from that. You're a living being. And I am too. And my dog is too. And all mammals are. and all beings are. They don't want missiles. They don't want nuclear power plants to break down and radiate. They don't want people driving rented U-Haul trucks over the sidewalks and killing everyone, every being inside. They don't want that. They want peace. The animals want peace. The dogs teach us peace and love and true compassion. Remember to breathe and sit straight. I have to remind myself. And allow the now moment. And I'm here for you. I'm here for Milka, and I am here for every other living being. And I send you a thought hug. I send you a hug and touch in video form. That's all I can do. But that's better than no hug and no touch. So I want people, what I want people to do if they can. I want people to go out to universities and any kind of university that you can find. Because that's the best place to start. Or maybe you can go to a health food store if you have that. Or let's say if you live in a real enclave type of situation somewhere. Or if you live in a cult, or there's always a way to ask people to exchange a massage with you. Foot massage is very good, or hand massage. I did that at the university. It was hard for me to. I was in such need of touch. Couldn't find any decent touch partner in terms of boyfriend or something. Couldn't find it. So I guess they were all afraid of me. So anyway, I had some lovely women friends, and we were just friends, of course. And one woman wanted to go into the bathtub with me. She was very needy, and she was very alone and very despaired and needed someone to cling to. And I didn't want anyone to cling to me, so I didn't allow her to go into the bathtub with me. But you know, in retrospect, I really regret that now. I regret that I didn't. I should have. You know, she was suffering in that situation, living with someone she didn't get along, I should have let her move in. Should have done primal therapy. I had a primal room even. If I had let her do this, if I had let her into my life, didn't need to be a sexual relationship, but an intimate friendship, in a close one, where I could have hugged her, we could have hugged each other at least. It doesn't have to be sexual, something like this. It is a wonderful thing if you have someone to hold in your arms, even fall asleep like that. Makes me cry just thinking about it. Thinking that I should have done that. I should have helped this lady. Should have helped her. I'm sorry. I made a lot of mistakes. I think I would have succeeded at the university. I would have been able to stay with it, stick with it, and not drop out. Would not have gotten suicidal and all of this if I had let her move in with me and not be afraid of having someone be needy. We need to be less picky in who we let into our lives, Not be so picky and not say, oh, I'm straight, I don't want a woman, or, and then make it dependent on something like this. Or, in my case, it wasn't only about being straight. It was that wasn't bothering me. It wouldn't have bothered me to give her a hug or hold her or anything. What bothered me, what was worrying me, it was that it would be too much for me psychologically to take care of someone else, someone that might become dependent on me or something. I wasn't very advanced psychologically myself. I was struggling with my own stuff, so I felt kind of like I wasn't up to the task. But I see it differently now when I look back on it. I feel like I should have done that. We could have helped each other. I should have at least tried, giving it a chance. And that's my message to the world now, don't pass something like this up or someone wants to be close to you, don't reject someone just because they're for whatever reason, because you think they're needy, or you think you can't be the best helper for them, or therapist, or whatever, or whether this might be overwhelming for you or whatever. Give it a try, at least. Give this a try. You can always move out again. We can always rearrange the situation later on, but give it a try. And that I recommend this even before adopting an animal, because only for the reason, because some people might really not be ready to be an animal parent. I've seen that very often. Also, I have also seen that in that very house where I was living when I went to university. There was a guy who was beating his dog, and I called the police. And in Germany, they come right away when there's animal abuse. I was very surprised, and they arrested him, and then he confronted me the next day, and the police was there looking, so he wasn't able to hurt me or anything. But he came over and confronted me, and he said to me, "How dare you call the police? I was abused as a child, And I said to him, that's not an excuse to hurt another living being. So, for anyone who is in a real bad situation psychologically, I don't recommend to those people to be in the possession of an animal. I don't like the word. And to be to have custody over an animal. So, I don't want anyone like this to have an animal because they are not ready then. So you have to be really, really in a good mental state where you are 100% committed to be the perfect animal mother, or father, and be really giving the animal what the animal needs, giving animal everything, and particularly not get a puppy. For people who are not well psychologically, I don't recommend to those people to get a puppy or a human child. So that's infant animals or humans. They have that's a very specific field of expertise, and it requires people to have a very balanced mind. And people cannot be having custody over an animal baby or human baby when they are unbalanced. Very important. So, but for those people who are unbalanced, get yourself a roommate, a human, an adult human, and see how it goes. If it doesn't go well, then you can move apart, but you can try at least. Try to help each other. That's just the best we can do. And then when you make progress, when you become more stable, then you can have an animal. I knew a woman in Germany who had written me many, many letters, went for about half a year. She was studying in school, they were studying Betty, the book Betty, Protocol of a Child Therapy, which is a book that my friend Anneliese wrote about me when I was a child. And this book is now in print and has been in print for a long time, since the 70s, and it's being used as school literature for psychology. And so that's how I met her on the internet, and she was cutting herself, always ending up in the hospital, and she had a rabbit, and I was very concerned about that situation, because every time I said to her, what is your rabbit doing? How is your rabbit coping with all of this? She wouldn't even respond to that question, and it made me really worried. Made me worried for the rabbit. So my appeal to the public is, if you are psychologically very disturbed, if you're mentally ill, if you cut yourself, or you're unstable in any way, don't bring an animal into your life. You can't do it yet. You have to wait. You have to wait until you become more stable. You need to be around someone who is around an adult human who is more stable than you are. Okay. Very important. And you have to ask, don't be shy, you have to ask for physical touch. This is absolutely, it's the foundation of healing. What's ideal is if you have a farm somewhere nearby, farm you can go to where you can pet the animals, where you don't have to be responsible for feeding the animals or taking them for walks. Just go there and you give the pigs apples and carrots on the lawn. That's a wonderful thing to do, and watch them eat, and it's a very relaxing thing to do for all of us. Or sit at a meadow and just watch the cows graze. It's a wonderful thing to do. Very, very peaceful and relaxing. It's a totally different energy out there. And there's a message that is being conveyed that is much more deep, much more profound than any message that can be conveyed in words and in concepts or ideas. It's very, very relaxing and good for the brain to do artwork like this. Very, 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 very deeply relaxing. Feels real good to do this. Yes, my goal is to have a clinic and the ultimate goal is to have a clinic with a dormitory with an actual medical staff and with nurses and a real hospital. So that's my ultimate goal. And to give people holistic treatment all the way around. A comprehensive, full spectrum nursing and psychological and holistic treatment, program all day and night. That's my dream. I have the knowledge now. I have all the knowledge I need. I continue to learn. We never finish learning. Okay, that's another thing that's very important for anyone out there who thinks once they have completed their learning programs or learning on their own, they're never going to be finished. They're never going to be completed. It will never be completed. But we get to a point where we can say, I am now ready to help someone. And that I can definitely say. I can say I have reached that level now where I could theoretically have a clinic and help people. But I don't have, of course, I don't have the financial means to set something like this up. I would have to start very slow and work my way up. And together, if we all work together on this, if people help me with this, not just in donations, but in actual help, then we can get something like this done. And that it doesn't mean that this only depends on one hospital or on one location. That's why I make these videos. I want to see this happening worldwide. I want to see this happening. I want to see people starting to take their health into their own hands and become empowered and know where to look for help, know where to get their their products, their healing products, and the things they need, and not being dependent on some exclusive, expensive type of spa or medical or beauty firm or whatever, but to become your own guide and guard with this, and your own scientist, and you know where to look for what you need, for what you really concretely need right now in this moment. If it is touch, you go out there and you ask someone to hold your hand. It might feel really awkward, particularly for men. For women, it's much easier. For men, it might be almost impossible to ask that from anyone, from a man or a woman, because then there's always this component of worrying about what they might think right now, or whether they, you think that, oh, maybe they think that I want something from them sexually, or that I want to take advantage of them in some way. And there's always this component of distrust, of course, and men are more distrusted than women. So men have it much rougher in this, much rougher psychologically. I see this. I really see it. And as a feminist, I can see it. I can definitely say that. I feel sorry for all of us, for all beings. I see how rough men have it. Particularly men who didn't come from educated backgrounds, who had fathers who said man up or eat like a man, or and then they have this entire baggage of now they have to be like a man, not only to get a girlfriend, but much deeper, to please their dads even after their death, and to feel this type of pride and stuff like this, this pride that they have been drilled with. It's very tragic. I want you guys to become aware about this, and I want you guys questioning all of this. Not take offense, question it. Really question this. Question the society that you grew up in. All of us, we need to question the society we grew up in, whether it is an intellectual society or a worker society, or not a very uneducated society. Doesn't matter. Or religious or whatever. We need to question it. Because all societies are neurotic. Everything made by humans is neurotic. And it needs to be dissolved. It needs to be healed. starting to look really good. Everyone, every one of us, whether they cling to this or that religion or cult or belief or whatever it is, and there's so many different cults and beliefs out there. Or whether they believe that they need to be tough, they need to be mean so that they don't get hurt anymore. It's all an illusion. We want to make the world a better place. And if we make the world a better place, then you, every one of you, will benefit from it. Every one of us. That will be so amazing and gorgeous and super. So, so, so super. And I feel this here too. This broke open as well. It's gorgeous. I'm grateful that Stephen Hawking doesn't have to suffer anymore. I felt a great relief when I heard that he has, I don't like the word dying. I don't like the word dying, but that's what it is. When he doesn't have to be in that body anymore. That was a great relief for me to hear. He'll live on forever. Nothing gets lost. Art Janov died also in 2017. A lot of people died this year and last year. A lot of people I have known or known about. Not known person. I didn't know Stephen Hawking personally. Robin Williams, Prince, a lot of people. You don't have to suffer anymore, you know. It's good. It's very good. Prince suffered so horribly, psychologically, so horribly. What a horrible, horrible, horrible suffering. So painful. And Michael Jackson suffered so, so horribly as well. Fleeing into drugs, understandably, with that past and all of this. People, they don't realize what they do to their children when they are in religious cults and when they're greedy and making their children into a commodity. They don't realize what they're doing. And that's why I make these videos, to bring more awareness to the world, hoping that I can bring more awareness. That's what I wish for. I wish for the ending of suffering for all living beings. No more suffering. I want people to empower themselves, free themselves from any kind of shackle, question everything and everyone, get into discussions. That's important, that's healthy. Don't be afraid of what someone might say or think. Make me a video. Don't be afraid. Take the time for that. Let's talk about these important things. And I welcome people to criticize me. If it's a sincere criticism, not bullying, but sincere, you see something that you think is wrong, or if you have a question, no, I like that when people ask me questions. Then they're being serious. They're not bullying. They're not pawning their religion on me. They're getting into the material when they ask questions. Even if they're angry and when they say, "Wait a minute, what do you mean by this?" I'm so glad when that happens, because then the brain starts to get into asking questions. That's what we want to do. Don't be afraid. You're not going to hell if you ask questions, even if that's what society drilled into people. No, you free yourself, okay? You get out of the hell. You're in hell right now. We want to get out of the hell that we have created. That is my goal. To end all suffering. Okay. So you guys take care. Bye bye.